You were never meant to fit in, because you were born to stand out. From day one, you felt it. That strange distance between you and the people around you. Like you were speaking a different language, even in the same room. That's not a coincidence. That's a calling. They called you the black sheep, but they never knew what that really meant. See, they thought it meant different, weird, outcast. But in reality, it meant chosen. The one who saw the lies before anyone else. The one who questioned the rules everyone blindly followed. The one who didn't just accept life as it was, but dared to ask why. Being the black sheep isn't about rebellion. It's about recognition. You recognized early that something was off. With the family, the school, the system, the world. You saw through the masks people wore. You felt the weight of energies no one else acknowledged. You noticed what others ignored, and for that, they called you difficult. But the truth is, you were just awake. Chosen ones are always born different. Not better, not above. Just tuned into something deeper. You feel more. You think more. You sense more. That's why environments that numb others make you feel sick. That's why fake conversations drain you. That's why small talk makes your soul ache. You weren't wired for surface-level living. You were designed for depth. And depth makes people uncomfortable. That's why your light disturbed their darkness. Why your honesty felt like an attack. Why your silence felt threatening. People weren't reacting to you. They were reacting to what your presence revealed about them. Your existence called out their compromises. Your spirit reminded them of everything they buried. So they labeled you. They distanced from you. They made you the black sheep, because it was easier than facing the truth. And for a while, you believed them. You thought something was wrong with you. You wondered why you couldn't just be normal. Why every room felt cold. Why the people who were supposed to love you seemed allergic to your presence. You didn't realize. You were born into a place that couldn't hold your frequency. And that disconnect wasn't punishment. It was positioning. God hid you in plain sight, surrounded you with people who couldn't see you, to sharpen your vision, to strengthen your voice, to teach you how to walk alone before leading others. You weren't rejected. You were rerouted. Every time you were excluded, you were being elevated. Every door that closed was divine protection. Every misunderstanding was spiritual redirection. Because chosen ones don't follow paths, they forge them. The black sheep is the cycle breaker, the one who doesn't repeat dysfunction, the one who doesn't carry forward the pain. While others follow tradition, the chosen one follows truth, even when it costs them everything, even when it means being the outcast. That's why the chosen walk through fire early. They're built in battle, made in isolation, refined in pain. Because their mission is too great for comfort. And let's be honest, you didn't just feel like the black sheep in your family. You felt it everywhere. Friend groups, classrooms, workplaces, churches, every space that demanded conformity made your spirit shrink. Because you weren't born to blend in. You were born to break out. That agitation in your soul, that's your calling screaming. You don't belong here. You're meant for more. That's why you were always the one who asked questions others avoided. Why you never settled for surface-level answers. Why you felt pulled towards something higher, even when you didn't have the words for it. You were born with a radar for truth, but built-in compass pointing towards something greater. That's why nothing ever fully satisfied you. You weren't ungrateful. You were untamed. And when you finally stopped trying to fix yourself, when you stopped shrinking to make others comfortable, something shifts. You start to see the black sheep for what it really is. A hidden lion. You were never weak. You were never broken. You were just early. Awake. Wired for something they couldn't comprehend. Because the black sheep eventually becomes the shepherd. The one who sees the world differently, ends up leading it differently. You were made to carry vision, not validation. Purpose, not popularity. And that's exactly why you had to go through the fire alone. So that you'd know who you really are, without applause, without approval, just raw, real, refined by God. And now, you're rising. The black sheep is waking up. The silence made you strong. The rejection gave you direction. The loneliness taught you to hear God clearly. And now you understand. You weren't cursed. You were crafted. You're not the problem. You're the pattern breaker. You're not lost. You're being launched. You're not too much. You're exactly enough. For the revolution you were born to lead. This world doesn't need more copies. It needs more originals. And that's what you are. An original. Unapologetic. Unshaken. Undeniable. You are the black sheep for a reason. And that reason is about to become very clear. So here you are, still standing, after all the betrayals, the misunderstandings, the exile. You made it through the valley where others got lost. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You didn't let the labels define you. You let them refine you. Every, you're too sensitive. Every, you think too much. Every, why can't you just be like everyone else? It didn't break you. It built you. Because chosen ones aren't made in easy places. They're forged in pressure, in silence, in spiritual wilderness. They walk through things that don't make sense until much later. But once the clarity comes, it hits like lightning. You realize none of it was random. Not the isolation, not the tension, not the pain. It was all part of the divine blueprint. You were never meant to be understood by everyone, because your path isn't for everyone. Your presence exposes what others want to hide. Your growth threatens their stagnation. That's why they tried to clip your wings before you even knew you could fly. Because deep down, they saw it too. The light, the potential, the anointing. And it scared them. People don't fear what they understand. They fear what they can't control. And you were uncontrollable. Not because you were rebellious, but because you were real. You couldn't fake it, couldn't smile when it hurt, couldn't stay silent when truth burned in your bones. That's what made you dangerous to every system built on illusion. You were born to expose what others deny. But now you see it for what it really is. Being the black sheep wasn't a punishment, it was protection. It was God saying, I'm not letting you get lost in this world. I'm not letting you sell your soul for their acceptance. I'm not letting you forget who you are just to feel loved. So he let them walk away. He let them misread you. Because if they had accepted you, you would have compromised your calling. Now you know, the distance wasn't rejection. It was revelation. And through that revelation, you've learned to walk differently. You've learned how to trust your gut. Because your gut is where the spirit whispers. You've learned how to guard your energy. Because not everyone deserves access to you. You've learned that peace is more valuable than popularity, and that being real is far greater than being liked. That's the chosen path. Quiet, isolated, rare, but powerful. Because it's in those quiet rooms, alone with God, that your real identity is revealed. Not the mask you wore to survive. Not the version of you that kept the peace. But the truth of who you are. Raw, radiant, unfiltered. And the truth is, they were never meant to understand you. Because you were sent to lead them. Leaders don't look like the crowd. They look ahead of it. They hear before others hear. They feel before others feel. That's why the black sheep always walks first, alone. Because you're carrying blueprints no one else can see yet. You're the architect of something that hasn't been built. That's why your life has felt like constant demolition. Because you're here to build something new. So stop apologizing for being different. Stop dimming your light because others squint in its presence. Stop questioning your worth because they couldn't see your value. Your calling isn't up for debate. Your destiny isn't a democracy. You were chosen long before they had an opinion. You were misunderstood because you're meant to be remembered. They'll remember how you held truth in rooms full of lies, how you carried grace when you had every reason to give up, how you never folded, even when you were the only one standing. That's legacy. That's power. That's purpose. And that's what being the black sheep is really about. Because one day, the very people who couldn't understand you will look back and realize you were right. You were early. You were chosen. And by then, you won't even need their validation, because you'll be too deep in your calling to care. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Your difference is divine. Your isolation is intentional. Your fire is not a flaw. It's fuel. You're not here to be accepted. You're here to be anointed. You weren't created to follow. You were designed to disrupt. And every time you embrace your identity, you shatter the illusions that kept your ancestors bound. That's what the black sheep really is, the spiritual liberator, the one who breaks the chain and becomes the change. That's why the attacks were so personal. That's why the pain was so specific, because your assignment is rare, and rare assignments come with rare resistance. But now you know who you are. And because of that, they can't use your past against you anymore. They can't use your difference to isolate you. You've claimed your crown.